Alright, it's the Hawk. When I originally finished this video, I was in a horrendous mood. I was not happy with how this show went down. No reflection, and after doing that YouTube poll on my community post, it seems that people really love the TNA NXT relationship. Anyone criticising this relationship is seen as taking a shot at the WWE. So I want to start this video by saying, when watching this review, imagine you've never seen NXT before. Also, try to take your business hat off. I know TNA are getting some great crowds now thanks to NXT. But this show, man, there were so many problems. I want TNA to do well. I want the young stars of NXT to do well. But I can only review what was in front of me, and this show did not make sense. So with that being said, hopefully TNA can improve. Enjoy the review. I sure didn't. Welcome to your weekly TNA review. Except it's late. Why is it late? Well, the Hawk caught a few spoilers and I did not like what I saw. So I smacked myself with a brick and tried to calm down. It didn't work. But it did put me in a coma for 3 days. I woke up to the news and drama about Gail Kim. TNA have fired her from her position as head of creative, so now we have Tommy Dreamer, yay, and Delirious, yay. The roster were not happy about this change, with one unnamed knockout quitting the company on the back of the news. Also, a bunch of office staff were let go, with Scott D'Amore and Gail Kim both gone. It is sure worrying times for the Knockouts division. Things were somehow going to get worse though. This show is embarrassingly bad. The show starts out with Joe Hendry. His world title reign has been horrible, by the way. I almost made a video on that, but as wrestling fans we can sometimes be too quick to judge. Hopefully it's about to improve now he's here. No, he's just here to do commentary on the upcoming #1 contendership match. Frankie Kazarian? Why does he need to have a match? Doesn't he own the money in the brief? Wait, this isn't WWE. Well, it pretty much is, let's be honest. He faces Elijah, who has done nothing whatsoever to earn this title shot, except he is a former star, so he gets a shot. Elijah starts out with Walk with Elijah. Frankie comes close to dying on a pile driver, but lives to fight another day. He throws Elijah into the ring pole on the outside. He then makes the unwise choice to get into it with Hendry, but instead this leads to Hendry and Elijah being shoved together. Kaz brings him back to the ring, and he beats the new WWE star in about 1 minute. Hendry flattens Kazarian until security geeks break it up. These are some of the dorkiest looking security geeks of all time. One of them looks like an unmasked Abyss. Joe Hendry cries backstage because he's now got a damaged shoulder. This guy wants to stick his thumb up there, but Joe is really against that. And if you thought Joe was going to make a triumphant return at the end of this show, you're wrong, because his title reign sucks. The commentary team ask who the hell is now facing Joe Hendry at the pay-per-view. Well, this is stupid. It's obviously Kaz. He has the Call Your Shot Cup. He also just won the #1 contendership match. How could it not be Kaz? I'm not even sure why that match just happened. TNA decides to randomly then bring up an injury gimmick, telling us that Joe Hendry's injury status is questionable. This whole show is questionable. Apparently, in a special online broadcast, the Slapnut system had beef with each other and they seem like they may be done. Slapnut Edwards is now in the impact zone to address the situation. He calls the rest of the crew out to the ring. Is he going to fire his wife? Who put this Slapnut in charge anyway? Eddie tells Fandango he's known him longer than his wife and asks him if he's tired of being a jobber. He hugs Slapnuts, telling him he's still part of this group. Beyond Average, Brian Myers is next. Eddie thinks together they have reinvented tag team wrestling. What? To make it the most boring and skippable matches of all time. He asks Myers if he wants to get the tag titles back. Myers is of course in. He asks his wife if she's tired of hanging around with losers. She apparently still loves him and she's in. Moose is last. He asks if Moose wants to be great again. He doesn't get to answer because... oh god, it's Cody Deaner? He still exists? Why does he still have a job? For no reason at all, he stirs the pot with Moose. Edwards says he told Deaner to keep his nose out of their business last week. Did he? I haven't even seen this man in months. Feels like I've skipped an episode, but I haven't. Why would Moose want to take advice from Cody Deaner? He looks like he's half-starved, a complete goofball. He polls the crowd on if Moose should leave the system. Who even cares at this point? This is making me feel ill and the Hawk's going to have to get something out of my system. Why is Cody Deaner a part of this segment? I am so confused. Moose says the people are right and then he decks Cody. They all beat down Deaner and the Spleener. Moose puts his little ring back on and the system are fine. More reasons for the Hawk to be annoyed. What a waste of airtime this whole breakup angle was. And why was Cody Deaner a part of it? Santina Nutella meets with the system backstage. He decides to put Moose in the Ultimate X match. The boy from Bradford will be in it and so will Matt Cardona. They all laugh about why Matt Cardona would be in this match. It's time for the weekly NXT Love-In. Spitfire will be facing NXT girls Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. Oh god, they still have the horrible graphic effects. It looks so cheap and stupid like Star Trek from the 80s. Dolan and Paxley excitedly watch the match backstage. Jackson starts with an arm drag. Luna and Fret come back with avalanche attacks. Fret and Jackson look like twins / teammates. Lash Legend in now. She keeps powering Danny Luna around the ring, but she doesn't even look strong. She just looks gangly. The crowd desperately chant NXT. I hate this show so much. It's actually embarrassing that it's even called TNA. Spitfire have been faces this entire time, literally since they started tagging, but this crowd is booing them. Danny kicks Lash into Jodie's diving crossbody for a 2. The match moves on with Luna slamming Jackson and trying to slam her own partner on top, but Jackson rolls away. Legend makes a blind tag and boots Luna in the head. Luna gets her face stomped into the corner. They pretty much reversed the spot from earlier, this time Luna blocks the double teaming on top of her. Fret has the tag and the audience are silent because they don't want Spitfire to win. Fret hits head scissors to Lash Legend. She throws the Metal Girls together and suplexes Jackson. Legend looks very slow and clumsy. Jodie Fret hits a delayed jackhammer to Jackson, but the pin is broken up. Luna smashes Legend with a dropkick. She's fine and she throws Luna out of the ring, and Jackson dives out the ring at Luna. The crowd desperately chant NXT. Fret fights off a double team and almost wins with a sneaky pin. Jodie Fret has to bravely fight on her own. As she chops her NXT opponents, the crowd boo her. It does look pretty stupid to be fair. It looks like she's having an asthma attack. It all leads to Legend smacking out her own partner by mistake. Fret tries to dive on Legend, but she's caught as Jackson makes a blind tag. They hit her with a double team move and it's the 3. Well, that was horrible. Lash Legend is awful. She looks like a gazelle on ice skates stumbling around the ring. She sucks. I'm sorry, but there's nothing good about her. The NXT chants throughout the match, booing Spitfire. No, not a good match. This made me feel sick. In the back, Mike Santana introduces Santino to an addict. TNA have apparently given him a backstage pass and a job. Taking the cheap option after all those backstage firings I see. The Hardy Boys are out next. They're here to hype their upcoming match with the Nemeth brothers. They used to love and trust Dolph Ziggler, but he betrayed them in that cage match. Matt Hardy would like us to look at the scar on his nose caused by Dolph Ziggler. Matt starts going into broken mode now with rage. Jeff Hardy has a rally towel. Oh, we're going back to that again, are we? As long as Ricky Ortiz isn't here. Jeff can't believe that anyone would think the Ziggler brothers are the better brother tag team. Well, no, nobody does. They are randomly interrupted by the Bad Hands. They hear on the crowd and say the Hardys aren't great anymore. They want a tag team title shot. They look like a couple of tadpoles. For some god-awful reason, Santina Marella has to sign off on this match to waste some more time. Why can't the Hardys just say, yes, we'll have a match? He makes the match, but it's non-title for now. Jeff better steamroll these jobbers or we'll be dumping all the way back to North Carolina. The Bad Hands are very boring, so I drifted off. The Hardys don't steamroll the jobbers. I can't even remember the last time these jobbers had a match on TNA, yet here they are taking the Hardy Boys to the limit. Matt eventually gets his head in the game and hits a side effect. They come close to beating Skylark with a poetry in motion and a second side effect. Skylark somehow almost beats Jeff with a roll-up, then they just beat him with a plot twist and the Swanton Bomb. Ryan Nemeth is seen sarcastically clapping backstage. The boy from Bradford takes offence to that as he loves the Hardy Boys. They will have a match at some point, who knows. They do another injury report. A member of the BBWs who looks like Eric Young says that Joe Hendry has sprained his rotator cuff. He believes Joe can pull it off because he believes in Joe Hendry. See, this is what the problem is. If Joe Hendry was a good champion, he'd come storming back into the arena despite his injury. But no. Here comes Steph and Mansa. She still thinks she's the digital media champion. Warner thinks they are stars and headliners. Wasn't your last match bumped to the pre-show on the last pay-per-view? They think they're stars as they're on the cover of the TNA magazine. I didn't even know TNA had a magazine, that can't be real. They start making out, which brings out Santina Marella. He says they're not the digital media's champions because they didn't beat anyone for it. He's going to take the belt from them and something will arise from the ashes. A Beth Phoenix. That's probably the funniest thing he's said since being in TNA. He makes a tournament for the pay-per-view to crown a TNA International Champion. Oh, you mean just like the Global Champion? He talks about the famous 2005 Unbreakable Freeway. To pay tribute to that match, every tournament match will be a freeway. I'm so confused, what's the next pay-per-view? Are we hyping 2 shows here? Why? Callahan jumps Warner with a baseball bat. He then throws Warner off the stage and through a table. The lighting is awful, terrible, a complete waste of time. Why do a dangerous spot when no one can see it? Never mind, Warner's probably used to doing that. Steph stands on stage screaming about her husband but is seemingly too lazy to go and check on him. The crack addict from earlier is taken to meet Mustafa Ali whilst crazy random dramatic music plays. They shove him in a car boot like it's a mobster hit. At the Ali compound, which is also in the TNA arena, the meeting takes place. Mustafa reveals that this guy destroyed a family's lives when he caused an accident which left a little girl unable to walk. Ali calls him a monster and an addict and he spits on him. Mustafa Ali lets him go because he's an addict and he's gonna destroy himself anyway. Well, that was dark. Ash by Elegance needed a break from TNA. I don't blame her, I need a vacation after this show too. The Elegance manager has been left in charge and he thinks he's found a new person to recruit to their group called Maggie Lee. The problem is she's too ugly. Heather says she's going to mentor the girl and give her a makeover. Be nice if we could see who the girl they're talking about even is. God, this show is so bad. It's then announced that Vikingo will be at Ultimate X. Cool, I like that guy. 3 random girls from NXT are here. Get off the show, I'm sick of all these random people turning up for no reason. What is the storyline reason that they can just show up and do whatever the hell they want? Why can't they just focus on a few people and get them over? Oh no, because this is the building for NXT and they love these people. Well, I don't. This is horrible, these people are taking up so much time on each TNA show. They're teaming with Tessa Blanchard in her extra small swimming trunks. The difference in star power is immense. I'm not saying that as a TNA fan. These random girls keep turning up and all they do is look unconfident. Their music sucks. You can tell they haven't fully got on board with their characters. You won't know who they are if you don't watch NXT. Tasha knows who she is. She's a dickhead. The opponents will be Lei Ying Lee, Isaiah Brookside and Masha Slamovich, who's been a horrible champion too, by the way. I know Jordan Grace had large boots to fill, but there's just been no effort to make Masha be special. She just has random matches which aren't even good. Blanchard and Slamovich finally fight, which has been teased for a while. Masha wins the first exchange and Tessa dumps in her swimming trunks and tags out. Masha follows her out of the ring with a corkscrew dive. Lei Ying Lee destroys an NXT girl for a while. Rosemary watches from the crowd because she loves Zaya Brookside or something. Masha starts dominating the match when Tessa rushes her like a missile and smacks her with a cutter. Everybody starts kicking everyone else down as the match breaks down. Masha is about to win when Tessa returns and she crushes Masha with the buzzsaw DDT for the free. Alright, TNA just randomly letting people win who weren't even tagged in, but whatever. Yay, NXT and Tessa win. TNA desperately claim that Tessa did tag in. The replay shows the tag, and the commentary team say she clearly tagged in. Don't lie, you fucked up. In the back, the addict has relapsed because of Mustafa Ali. Mike Santana is livid. Question. If you're Mike Santana, why are you bringing a recovering addict with you to a TNA show where you know that known dick Mustafa Ali is going to screw with him? You're a bad friend, Mike Santana. The show will end with Frankie Kazarian. He laughs at Joe Hendry for getting injured. He says he's going to be calling his shot on April 27th in his home state at the Rebellion pay-per-view. So yeah, we are hyping 2 pay-per-views, Rebellion and Unbreakable. Pretty confusing and dumb. This happened last month too with the NXT show and the TNA pay-per-view. Then Ethan Page randomly returns to TNA. The crowd frantically chant NXT. Do you know how many times TNA was chanted on the show tonight? A big, whopping 0! Ethan jokes that there's actually fans at a TNA show now because when he was here last it was the pandemic. They discuss if Kaz is right to cash in on an injured Joe Hendry. It's like 3 weeks away. Who knows what his health is going to be like by then? Page points out that he already beat Joe Hendry in a match. Oh wow, really? When was that? I don't remember seeing that happen. Was that in a different company by chance? Ethan Page says he spoke with Santino and he's got a title shot against Joe Hendry at Rebellion. Kaz flips and says he will not stand for this. Okay, chill dude, just cash in some other time. Frankie Kazarian gets beaten up by Ethan Page and he lies crying on the floor as the crowd chant NXT. I am so utterly confused after watching this show. As far as I was aware, Kaz is entitled to cash in like it's money in the bank. Or he has to announce it in advance or something. The rules aren't that clear. Why does it have to now be a triple threat? Why can't Kaz just have the match some other time? What was the match at the start of the night for? Why does Ethan Page just walk into TNA and get a title shot? Why are we giving so much airtime to these people? Well, the Hawk has done the maths, and the maths spells disaster for TNA. Do you know how long was spent on NXT people this week? Over half an hour. Which is over a third of the show, by the way. The audience spent the night cheering for the NXT guys. The only reason TNA is doing well in terms of ticket sales is because of WWE. Nobody cares about the TNA wrestlers, they just want the NXT guys. The entire show, minus one thing, was unwatchable. It was bad. Really bad. 2 long-ass NXT women's matches, an incredibly confusing storyline around Kaz getting a title shot, and Joe Hendry taken off the show because he has a little bad shoulder. His title reign is a complete failure. Joe Hendry and Masha both being treated unlike stars. If it wasn't for Mustafa Ali, and God bless this man, I can't believe WWE released him. He is the only person on this entire show doing anything remotely interesting. Maybe if he re-signed with the WWE over on the NXT brand and then came back to TNA, he could then win the TNA World title. Why not? Everyone else gets shots for no reason. Oh, I'm from NXT, that means I get a title shot, right? How about getting a fucking storyline or a reason that NXT people are allowed to keep just walking into TNA? Why wouldn't the TNA wrestlers take a stand against this? They're literally stealing your TV time and title shots. It makes no sense. Ethan Page bragging about beating Joe Hendry. Okay, if you're not an NXT fan, you wouldn't know about that. It's appalling construction of a storyline. Last week, Kaz feuded with Chavo Guerrero over an incredibly dumb reason too. Where the hell is he, by the way? It was really worth having Chavo beat Casey Navarro, wasn't it? I've been holding this in for so long, and I really tried, but this show is the worst wrestling show on telly. I don't want to watch it anymore, I'd rather watch NWA. This show made me legitimately angry. I know there will be some dork in the comments calling me a TNA mark, or you will view this as an attack on the WWE. I'm not trying to attack the WWE, try and look at this from my point of view. Ask yourself, how would you feel if Monday Night Raw dedicated half an hour to TNA every week? But there's actually no storylines happening, they're just getting title shots and beating your favourite wrestlers for no reason. I bet that would wind you up too. This show is a miserable viewing experience. I've really tried to get on board with this NXT stuff, but it's just too many people at once, with no reason to actually be on the show, and I can't be on board with it any longer.